Hello and welcome to ILTV's Evening Update. I'm Aaron Porras here with the latest news from Israel.
United States lawmakers from the Subcommittee for National Security of the House Oversight Committee are on a visit to explore the possible relocation of the United States Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Earlier today, the delegation met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other senior Israeli officials to discuss the move. The group is led by Republican Representative Ron DeSantis of Florida and is set to visit possible locations in Jerusalem for the American Embassy in order to later brief both Congress and the White House on their findings. During his presidential campaign, Donald Trump made the embassy relocation a centerpiece of his foreign policy, but has since wavered in his commitment. In 1995, Congress passed a law legislating the embassy move, but inserted a waiver to delay the measure for security reasons. Since then, the waiver has been renewed by every sitting president every 6 months. The latest deferral is currently set to expire in May. Today, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that he will be flying to Moscow on Thursday to discuss with Russian President Vladimir Putin how to best counter Iran's growing influence in Syria. Earlier today, the Prime Minister said, quote, "There is an attempt by Iran to entrench itself permanently in Syria, with a military ground and naval presence," end quote. He then went on to warn that Iran is attempting to open a new front against Israel in the Golan Heights. Since 2015, Russia has been intervening on the side of embattled President Bashar Assad and has worked closely with Iran to prop up the besieged government. In the past, Netanyahu has sought Russia's help in thwarting Iranian and Hezbollah attempts to use Syria as a base from which to attack Israel. Since the start of the war, Israel has repeatedly attacked Hezbollah targets in Syria, including the 2015 assassination of 6 of their fighters and an Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps Brigadier General, Mohammed Ali al-Adadi. During his visit to Jerusalem today, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo spoke harshly against the, quote, reprehensible spike in antisemitic attacks in the United States, and promised to do anything within his power to fight against it. The comments come after several incidents of bomb threats called into nearly 80 Jewish community centers over 30 different states, as well as the recent vandalism and toppling of headstones in a Jewish cemetery earlier this weekend in Brooklyn. Cuomo spent just one day in Jerusalem, attending the Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial Center with Israeli President Rivlin, and stating that his presence in the Jewish national homeland was in spite of the uptick in anti-Semitic behaviors. He said that the attacks, quote, violated every tenet of the New York state tradition, end quote, and that New York is by definition a celebration of diversity. Quote, "It accepts all. We believe in the spirit of inclusion and we live by discrimination of none. You must live by the rules that an abuse to one and an affront to one is an affront to all, and that large fires start as small fires, and we must have zero tolerance for any abuse or discrimination on any fellow human being. To the people of Israel, I say that these acts of anti-Semitism will not be tolerated," end quote. Today, the entire senior team of Jerusalem's pediatric cancer ward quit over labor disputes between the hospital's management and staff. The 6 senior doctors in question worked in Jerusalem's only ward capable of treating children with leukemia and other severe blood diseases. Department head Professor Michael Weintraub and 5 other doctors, all of them senior physicians within the ward, announced their resignation due to a running conflict with hospital CEO Ze'ev Rothstein. Family of patients protested outside the health ministry, holding signs in support of the doctors. In a statement, doctors said that 6 months ago the department had raised their concerns with the hospital's severe failure in refusing to invest in the staff. No other information about the dispute is available at this time. According to 13 different NGOs who testified before Israel's Supreme Court today, the settlements law could open Israel to war crimes prosecution in The Hague. The settlement law potentially places individual Israeli politicians, military personnel, and civilians before the International Criminal Court for violating the international rules concerning belligerent occupation. The settlement bill, passed in January, legalizes Israeli homes in the West Bank that were built on privately owned Palestinian land. The NGOs have stated that under international law, Palestinians and their property in the West Bank must be protected by the Israeli military, and that under those laws, the Israeli government cannot confiscate their property for the benefit of Israeli citizens. The NGOs filed the petition on behalf of 23 Palestinian local council heads and 4 Palestinian landowners. The lawsuit claims that there are roughly 8,000 dunams on which homes are illegally constructed and thousands more dunams of farmland. Supporters of the law have argued that by offering the Palestinians compensation, Israel is placed in compliance with international law. Right-wing politicians have further explained that it is the only way to prevent what would eventually become the evacuation of close to 4,000 homes.
That's all for now. Stay tuned on ILTV.tv for our main daily broadcast playing after this. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you next time with our morning briefing from Israel at 8 a.m. Eastern Time.